myself, or our family. It has been a difficult journey, but He never promised it would be easy. They want you, all of us, to get tired, to give up. They want us to lie down and settle for another establishment puppet, or worse, a radical liberal Democrat. My husband promised me when we married that it would never be boring, and he has certainly kept that promise. And today, 34 years later, I now have the great honor of introducing a man who needs no introduction, who will not settle, who will not tire, who will not give in when it comes to the future of our great nation. Judge Roy Moore is a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. He is a veteran of the Vietnam War. He is a two-time Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court, and he's the loving father of 4 grown children and the grandfather of 5. He's also my best friend and the love of my life, Judge Moore.
Thank you. I feel like we haven't got this well planned out here, so I want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. That don't mind. It's about our country. It's about God. And so if y'all will join me, I'll lead it. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You plan to have everything right. You get a nice podium, and I forgot about the cameras and the microphones. So we'll try to get through with this, but I want to welcome you to downtown Montgomery. This is a historic place. I think a lot of you may not come from this area, but this area right here is considered the home of rights, civil rights, states' rights, and religious liberty. In fact, this building was built in 1856 and now houses the Foundation for Moral Law, headed by my wife. And in this place, we stand up for religious liberty. In fact, just this morning, this was a pure coincidence, I guess, the United States Supreme Court ruled in a case of a flag in Maryland established in World War I, put there a cross, I should say, not a flag, cross called the Bladenburg Cross. And they upheld the depiction of that cross. And we're hoping that the Supreme Court is moving more to the conservative view of our rights to honor God in our country. You also see out here a new square that's being built by the city of Montgomery. I think that's especially significant because one portion of this square is going to depict General Richard Montgomery, who on December 31st of 1775, even before the Declaration of Independence, was killed in the battle up near Quebec. He was the first American general killed in a war in our country, even before the country began. So we're going to honor him in this city by recognizing that our town here in Montgomery was named after Richard Montgomery. I want to introduce you already met my wife, my son Caleb, standing over here. We have several attorneys here that have helped me through the years. I want to mention them. Melissa Isaac, there's in the corner. Martin Wisnowski is somewhere here, right here. Larry Clayman, Larry, right here. John Eidsmoe, Matt Clark. Matt and John worked on this brief for the foundation. Leonard Holyfield, my good friend from 30-something years ago, is here with us. We'd like to see him. I see several of my campaign staff from last time in the room, and thank Tim Sprayberry for the wonderful prayer that he gave as an introduction. For the past several weeks, months really, there's been a barrage like never before of information about whether I would run. I think never before in the history of our state, in the history of our nation, has there been such an outcry of opposition and favoritism about running in a Senate race, especially when you got to recognize that I have not announced any intentions. Just this week, the AP had an article entitled, "Is Roy Moore Running for the Senate?" Then CNN came out to say that Roy Moore to announce his decision this week amid GOP controversy. And GOP's biggest fear, according to Alabama Reporter, was Roy Moore running again. And one I like especially, American Thinker, by a former member of the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, said the deep state smear machine is gearing up for Judge Roy Moore again. Never before has the NRSC, that's the National Republican Senate Committee, become involved in a race when there is no race yet. But Jesse Hunt of the NRSC spokesperson said that no stone will be left unturned as it pertains to his background. In other words, the NRSC is planning to do a smear campaign. Todd Young, the chairman of the NRSC from Indiana, senator, even spoke to the president to urge him to come out in opposition to my candidacy. Josh Holmes from McConnell, Senator McConnell, and Stephen Law, the president of the Senate Leadership Fund, have also made such comments. And none other than Senator Richard Shelby came out just recently to say that he believed I will not be the Senate or the candidate in the race. I think my question is this to you, the media. Why is there such a fear? Why is there such a anger? Why is such a hatred and opposition to somebody running? Why does my mere mention of my name cause people just to get up in arms in Washington, D.C.? Is it because I'm a staunch conservative? Is it because I believe in strong rights for people? Is it because I believe in smaller government, less regulation? Is that what they believe? I would hope so. Is it because I believe in God, in marriage, in morality in our country? Do I believe in the right of a baby in the womb to have a life? Are these things embarrassing to them? Is that why they oppose me? Or is it because I stand up for the United States Constitution, a stronger border, security, to keep and bear arms? These are the things that I believe in. These are the things that I've stood for. I want to see jobs back in our country again. I want to see treaties like NAFTA and CAFTA done away with that have taken jobs from our country. I can't understand why there's such opposition from Washington, but I do know one thing. Neither the press nor anybody else has even mentioned Project Birmingham one time in the recent month. Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten that a group in Washington in September 2017 came out with this project to put out disinformation, false flag operation, using Russian tactics? We all know about the Mueller report. We all have seen what the president go through this scenario. In fact, I've got the Mueller report upstairs. It is that thick. We've all seen this. And they found no collusion. But in this case, in Project Birmingham, there was not only collusion, but a clear evidence of intent to disrupt a state Senate race by Democratic operatives out of Washington, D.C. Now, what's strange about this is we find the newspaper and the media urging everybody to get everything in the Mueller report. But not one has mentioned, despite the fact that the New York Times and the Washington Post both have the after-action report of Project Birmingham. But there's not been one mention of it. There's no mention of the fraudulent election tactics that were used to deprive the people of the state of Alabama of a race for Senate. Everyone in Alabama knows that last election in 2017 was fraudulent. How'd I know? Well, even my opponent, Doug Jones, said this in his supposed complaint in protest. Such deceptive tactics have no place in American politics and must be repudiated by those involved in our political system. It is imperative to send a clear message that these disinformation tactics, will not be tolerated, but must be repudiated and punished to the full extent of the law. I want to give hats off to the New York Times. I've criticized them for not revealing this after-action report, but at least they recognize that Doug Jones was an unwitting beneficiary of these misinformation tactics. And the people of Alabama, they know of dirty politics. They're angry. They're tired after Kavanaugh's revelations came out. And after Kavanaugh survived them, they realized and they saw through what had happened to me. You know, there's no saying you can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And that's what they're trying to do in our races and elections today. People of Alabama are not only angry, but they're going to act on that anger. They want Washington and other people outside this state out of their election. People of Alabama are tired of politicians saying one thing and doing another. And we've seen that clear here in Alabama with the gas tax. A supposedly Republican administration passed the gas tax, which I can't find many people in favor of, but they passed it for other reasons. The same thing happens in Washington. We have them all talking about abortion, but still we fund Planned Parenthood with over $500 million of taxpayer money. We see special interests surviving in Washington. Border security, we've talked about it for how long now? Well, I know back in 2005 in one of my campaigns, I came out against open borders. And this is many years later, we still have open borders. You know, I believe in America. I believe we got to have politicians that go to Washington to do what they say. We still have health care. Has anybody's health care improved? Have we got more health care? What I find is businesses struggling to provide health care. They can't do it. And yet we have over and over and over people in Washington saying we oppose it, but they can't do anything about it. You know, I believe in America. We said the Pledge of Allegiance. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A lot of people skip over that word indivisible. To me, that means that we're one people. We have one common denominator. That's a belief that our rights come from God and that government can't take those rights from us. I fought for our country in Vietnam. I fought for our country and its laws as Chief Justice. I fought for morality to preserve our moral institutions. And I'm ready to do it again. And yes, I will run for the United States Senate in 2020. My campaign site will be roymore.org. It's very simple. I hope you can go to it and look and see what we stand for and what we're going to do in Washington. Can I win? Yes, I can win. Not only can I, they know I can. That's why there's such opposition. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention. I'll let you ask a few questions.
Judge Moore, Mary O'Connell from the Museum 13. I'd like to know why now and why do you think you're ready for the job now as opposed to 2 years ago?
Why I can do it now as opposed to 2 years ago? I thought I could do it 2 years ago. I don't understand. You mean why am I taking it now?
Why do you think you can win this election?
Oh, why do I think I can win this election? Because I think I won the last election. If it were not for the false tactics used by the Democratic operatives in Washington, D.C., and the false information that was put out. I think there was so much opposition because they don't want the truth in Washington. I think they want to continue the status quo. And I think we can change it. Yes. Kim. You have to speak up.
You based allegations from the last race of misconduct that women are standing by those claims. Can you respond to that? And
Say again, I can't.
the women who accuse you of
Sure.
misconduct in 27 are standing by those claims. Can you respond?
I really wouldn't know what they're standing for, quite frankly. I haven't seen them. I haven't heard from them. We have a case going, and I haven't even seen the woman involved. We can't question her. Now, where are they? I've taken a lie detector tests. I've taken polygraph tests. I've done everything I could do. These were false claims, false information. Next question. Well, I think Doug Jones explained it pretty well. He recognized there was a false flag operation worth $750,000, according to Reid Hoffman, who contributed to that, and so much for George Soros, did the same thing. And they put false information out over and over and over. They targeted 650,000 Alabamians with false information. It's naturally going to have, they brought people in from out of state. There are many reasons I could say it was not correct. When a senator of the United States from the same state gets out and urges people not to vote for you in the general election, and now tells people that he's worried about my candidacy electing Doug Jones again, that's hypocrisy. Plain and simple.
Do you think the loss had anything to do with those allegations of misconduct that some people came up?
Very little. The people saw through it. And if they didn't see through it then, they've seen through it by Kavanaugh and these other things that have come out as late as December 2017.
Judge Moore, you said you plan to win this time. Can you talk about what do you plan to do different than 2017?
Well, I think I'll be able to make more, I would like to make more personal contact with people. I mean, we did last time with rallies, we did with different things, but I'd like to get out personally, home parties, more personal contact, and travel the state. People of Alabama know me. That's one thing I don't have a problem with. Now, as far as money, it's always going to be difficult to contend with Washington, D.C., who's put millions of dollars behind their candidate, and I won't name who their candidate is, because if you can't find out, I'm not going to tell you.
Just one. Why go against President Trump's wishes?
I'm not going against President Trump at all. I support President Trump. I'll vote for President Trump. Whether he votes for me or not, we'll see. I'm sure he will when I get in the general election. But I'm going for the people of Alabama. I don't represent Washington, D.C. I don't represent Arizona, New Mexico. I represent the people of this state. I'm very proud of our state. I think I guess you're supposed to say this, but I say it from my heart. I'm born here. I was reared here. I went to West Point, United States Military Academy. I served in Europe. I served in Vietnam, but I came back to Alabama. I've served as a judge, chief justice, prosecutor in Alabama. I love Alabama. I think we got the best people in the world here. I think our motto, "We dare defend our rights," is very meaningful, because I think people of Alabama have a special touch with the rights given to us by God. They're a moral people, and that's what we need more of.
Judge,
Yes.
to follow up on this question, did President Trump's public warnings to you give you any pause at all about running? Did that make you reconsider your plans at all?
No, I think President Trump has every right to voice his opinion. I think he's being pushed by the NRSC. In fact, there was an article that I read from that NRSC did approach him, the spokesperson for NRSC, did approach President Trump. I don't know what he's thinking. I can't speak for him. But I can say I don't disagree with him in lots of his policies. And border security is one I feel very strongly about. Yes, sir.